There have been many Soulsborne games from third parties that have attempted the tried and true formula of From Software's greats, but while many of them have seemingly cool premises, none of them ever deliver. Back when Lies of P was first revealed, many thought that the gritty, Bloodborne-esque take on Pinocchio was something fresh and intriguing. We had never assumed Pinocchio and Gothic horror would ever marry well, but here we are. Round 8 Studio and NeoWiz Games' foray into the Soulsborne genre is a welcome addition. Not only is it a welcomed edition, it is an exceptional edition. Lies of P is probably the greatest non-From Software developed Soulsborne game that exists to this day. There is something magical about this puppet's journey to becoming human. Lies of P tells the story of an individual puppet who is mysteriously awoken from his slumber at a lone chair in the back of a train. He is led by a mysterious voice to the city of Krat, the setting of the game. Once the puppet reaches Hotel Krat, he is introduced to Sophia, the blue-haired Souls Maiden of the game. The player then gets to leave the hotel and explore the city of Krat and its surrounding areas in an adventure unlike Pinocchio has ever been on before. Along the way, the player will encounter a cast of memorable NPCs and characters that he can either help or hinder. Like most Souls games, exhausting the NPC dialogue helps progress their quest lines and appear in other places in the game, which is often noted by an icon of their face next to the nearest stargazer you can find them at. This method of tracking quests and characters made it much easier to progress through their individual stories, something I found that I struggled with in Elden Ring before they patched in NPC indicators to help keep track of their locations. Like most Souls games, players go around and activate stargazers as checkpoints while exploring the gritty, grotesque, gothic streets of Krat. The visual presentation of the levels and various areas in the game is fantastic. Exploring the dingy streets of Krat and then experiencing the rustic charm of the factory really helps set the locations apart. The environments are varied and well designed, and the pathing for players to follow is intricate and winding. It was always exciting opening up new shortcuts and seeing how various places re-looped as I explored them. I never found the stargazers were too far apart, and there was always a convenient shortcut when I needed one. One thing I often worry about when playing Souls games is how much distance is between the boss gate and the stargazer. The more enemies in the way, the more annoying, as you could waste precious healing items on the way. Or you could just get better at the game and not have to worry about that. I really enjoyed exploring the environments in this game. I felt the art team did a fantastic job at thematically crafting the world of Krat. Nothing felt out of place, and the enemy design only further complemented the gorgeous gothic art of the game. It's easy to compare this game to Bloodborne, as both are similar in aesthetics and style. The designs of the enemies were equally fantastic, and the variety of enemies was greatly enjoyable. Some enemies, I would argue, are more annoying than some boss fights, and when you encountered them, which wasn't always often, your heart would sink a little deeper into your chest. There was one enemy, a stupid wind-up monkey, that would dive on his head and jump around constantly that could go fuck itself. Every time that stupid bastard appeared, I would swear at my game and spam attacks on it until I died because I wasn't playing the game as intended. P.S. Let me tell you, it's not a hack and slash game. These enemies were memorable and were a good challenge. From puppets to corpses to a hybrid of the two, the progression in the enemy design was incredible. You see enough cool puppet designs? Why not some crazy ass zombies? You see enough zombies? Well, how about a boss you fight that starts off as a zombie and then becomes one with the puppet? Then after that, you're fighting these Resident Evil like puppets with zombie whips and shit coming out of their heads. Excellent design. The enemies also have a terrific attack patterns, and learning their moves was enjoyable. One enemy in particular, the stupid fucking shovel robot, had basically two attacks. I swing my shovel at you, and I hold my unblockable shovel attack above my head and randomly murder you with it. When will I let the shovel loose? Nobody knows, but I'll fuck your shit up. Fuck that guy. Any bosses do that? No. Speaking of bosses, the boss design in this game, triple A. You fight some excellent bosses. The Parade Master, the introductory boss, does a great job introducing players to unblockable attacks and when to find openings and all the basics. After that, a dude dressed up as a donkey with a giant ass sword. Why not? After that, a big puppet thing that summons lightning and shit? Hell yeah. There's a lot of memorable bosses in this game. One boss I spent a lot of time on, Fuoco and Vanini's factory. I swear that boss just kept making new shit up as he pounded me harder and harder into the ground with his dumbass projectiles. But you know what? That boss made me rethink what weapon I wanted to use. I was using the starting rapier, but for that big fucko, see what I did there? Fuoco? I needed a better weapon. I needed the weapon, you know? The Soul's weapon. So I found the biggest fucking greatsword I had, slapped some improvements on there, and bam, I kicked his ass 3 hours later. While most of the bosses were excellent, some of them I found could have been done a little better. For example, Andreas, the big priest dude on a stick attached to a monster. It reminded me of that other Dark Souls 3 boss, the other priest dude on a stick attached to a monster, except this one didn't teleport. When you got to the second phase and this dude showed up, I kept trying to hit the priest, but because he was basically a tail, he wasn't always on the ground. I thought it was clever design as it forced me to fight him because the monster's ass I already kicked was back up for round 2. I thought I would have to hit Andreas because he's the actual boss. I was disappointed when I could just ignore the priest, hit the big swamp rat, and beat the boss like I did in the first phase. The fight was still enjoyable, but I wish it had that harder mechanic to it, that deeper dive. My favorite boss though, Luxasia, I don't know how the hell you say it, the Complete. This boss goes from the typical slow-ass knight type boss to jumping high in the sky, quick lightning combo boss that absolutely overwhelms you. It felt like it was the first boss that really tested my skills in Lies of P, and I wasn't even playing the game properly at that point. It wasn't until this last boss, my favorite boss, the Nameless Puppet, that made me realize I had been playing the game wrong the entire time, and that is the last boss in the game. Remember how I said this game looks like Bloodborne? Well, I also learned during this exact boss that it has the healing mechanic from Bloodborne where you can recover an amount of health by attacking the boss right after. But this game also has a parry mechanic. Now, I knew about the parry mechanic, but I mostly ignored it and I forgot about it, as you can probably tell from my footage. And then I got to the Nameless Puppet and parried the shit out of him. Or I tried to, you can see it on the screen. This game is full of great mechanics. Parrying attacks can stagger enemies, which you can then charge a heavy attack to break them and get in a visceral critical attack that does a shit ton of damage. Sometimes, however, the spots to do this from would be in walls and other arena debris, which was frustrating as hell. You couldn't access them. You spent all that time breaking their stance, and you can't even get the big hit in because the spot to do it from spawned in geometry. Sometimes, I would also get stuck in geometry trying to dodge enemies or bosses, and then I would get absolutely mollywopped because my Pinocchio was just rolling on the same fucking spot. That happened a few times, and when it did, it was frustrating. However, there are more great mechanics to this game. Another great mechanic, the weapons and Fable meter. Each weapon comes in 2 parts, the blade and the handle, each scale with different attributes and stats. I went full dexterity. Each part comes with its own Fable art, which can also trigger the breaking effect on enemies, which is sick. You can customize your weapon to ultimately reflect the stats you want, which then in turn affects which arts you can use, which is pretty cool. Like Soulsborns, you can trade the boss souls in for their weapon, or in this game you can also choose to opt in for the accessory, I call them rings, that you can equip as well. Some of these boss rings are fantastic. I had a few of them equipped in my playthrough. One gave me infinite rolls on 0 stamina, which is sick. It just took a long ass time for that stamina to come back, so it was a give and go, which I thought was a cool mechanic. Another gave me a small chance to not use up my healing items when I used them, which is also pretty cool because whenever it happened you felt like you had a bit more fight in you, especially when it happened while you had very little healing items. These effects of these boss rings were quite varied and they could affect your playstyle quite drastically, which is pretty cool. Another cool thing about healing in this game is that when you're on empty, your attacks work towards filling up your pulse cells, which is awesome. Once enough attacks have been made, you can heal again. You can do this over and over, which rewards your aggressive behavior when you're running on empty and have nothing to lose. Do you want to risk the biscuit, get more attacks in, heal up that 0 pulse cell to 1, and then get that healing in? Right? It encourages the player to be aggressive, and I absolutely love that. You also get access to grindstones, which imbue your weapon with different elements. Electric for puppets, fire for corpses, acid for something. I used it on a human once. But you get this really awesome looking animation when your character uses their arm to grind the weapon. It's so fucking cool and looks and feels amazing. There's a lot of that cool charm that the devs put in this game when they were making it, and it's amazing. The other cool thing I loved customizing? My Legion arm. Just like in Sekiro, you can customize your arm for various different benefits. You can get a scorpion-like string, a flamethrower, an electric zapper, a shield, underground mines, or my personal favorite, a big fucking exploding cannonball to finally kill those bastards with guns who snipe you from miles away. Now they can snipe you from miles away as you try to shoot them with your gun. Great times. The combat in this game is so fun. It's very slick and smooth. The dodges feel great and hits feel great. There are a ton of cool weapons to mix and match, and some of those boss weapons are truly incredible in how they change the game. I ended up with the dragon swords, Sword's sword, which when holding the charge attack can actually parry an attack if they hit you at a specific point during your windup. It's incredible. You probably see it in this footage. Then the devs throw in the P-Organ system. A system that allows you to gain even greater abilities and even further your customization when building your puppet. You spend quartz to get these, but that's not all. You can choose from 4 options each time you spend a quartz for a minor ability. Fill all the empty quartz slots in the big ability and you get the big ability. It always felt like you were getting stronger, but the customization options for your build are excellent. You can choose to take an attack buff that makes it so the enemy stagger window lasts longer. You can take an item buff that makes things cheaper in the shop. You can take a defensive buff that makes it so you can recover health easier when hitting enemies. You can get buffs that give you more pulse cells. The big buffs are also game changers. One gives you access to a second permanent grindstone. Another gives you the ability to dodge mid-dodge. It's so varied that sometimes it's hard to prioritize what you want because there's so many possibilities. This then doubles back on the incentive to explore every nook of Krat. Find the collectibles, the upgrades, the weapons, the emotes. It's just so wonderful. And then there's the music. This music is gothic. This music is French. This music is fan-fucking-tastic. It already adds to the incredible style Lies of P already has and makes it a joy to listen to. Not only that, you can collect records of songs in-game and listen to them as well. You listen to them from front to back and it raises your humanity. Your humanity? That's right, another sick-ass mechanic, although this one's a hidden mechanic. It's cool to see the way in which your puppet grows as a character. You lie and become more human, because humans lie. The more you lie, the more human you become, the more your character changes. Get enough humanity to do enough things, you get a secret ending. Want to tell the truth like a goody two-shoes? Nobody liked that. You know what else nobody else likes? Performance issues. Thankfully, this game rarely had any. I played Lies of P on my 3070 Ti rig. It's a pretty solid rig capable of 1440p no problem, and I barely ran into any issues. It ran a smooth 60 frames for the majority of the game, only dipping to above 30 in a few instances when I had a lot of rain and shit that was present on the screen. That's probably just my $3,000 gaming machine. I definitely know that my $600 consoles can probably run this game better. So what? I can't say enough good things about Lies of P. This game is fantastic. Combat and exploration of Krat to enemy, NPC, and boss design. Everything in this gothic world oozes style. The customization is impressive and the quality and vision of the game is present in every facet of this game. When the game prompted me if I want to begin a new game plus, I immediately dove in again. I was ready to explore it all again because this game is just so fun and it's so rewarding. Lies of P is an exceptional game. I know it came out in 2023 and it's 2024, but I just finished this game. It's great. And it's on Xbox Games Pass, the greatest deal in gaming history.